and it's 5, a little after 5, so let's call the meeting to order. And we do have a quorum, and I want to welcome everybody coming out on this rainy night before the holidays. And before we start, I'd like to wish everybody a happy holiday going forward. And let's go into approval of the minutes. Everybody got a copy of it and everybody read it? Okay. So motion to approve the minutes. Lisa, and second, Sean. Okay. We'll go to item 3, items for review and possible action. We don't have any, which makes for a very quick meeting. So we'll move forward. We'll go to item 4, which is for information. Bill, you have the election day PD review.
I wanted to share, I've shared this a couple different places, but I know I didn't share it here. We wanted to give you an idea of sort of the feedback we're getting on our professional development. We want to make sure that everybody realizes. I'm sorry, I did realize this was a survey we send out. I send something out after every professional development day. This is for this past election day. And you can see, the many different areas that we offer stuff in. A lot of them are based around, the elementary level, around the into literature, into reading, portrait of the graduate work you see. But we try to listen to the department chairs and the teachers and the principals as to what they might need and allow people to pursue a lot of different areas. But I wanted to share some of the feedback. We basically ask 3 questions for each. There was a morning session and an afternoon session. We look for their satisfaction, were they satisfied with the overall quality. And as you can see, we want to stay on the right side of the graph, and you can see a majority of that is in the positive. Then we also ask how relevant was the content? Because again, that was something, again, from different districts I've been in, and I'm sure the same is for Stratford, the worst thing that you can have is people walk away and say, yeah, it was good, but how's it going to help you? It's not really relevant. So again, we're always pleased to see a majority of the people feel that the content was relevant to their role in the district. And then the last part too is a part that sometimes is often forgotten, but we want to see how confident people are in their ability to take what they learn and apply it into their classroom, into their practice. So again, great to see those numbers. Again, for the afternoon session, we asked the same questions, and as you can see, the overall quality very positive. The relevancy of the content overwhelmingly positive, and then their confidence in their ability to apply it to their practice. Again, very positive. We do allow them to share comments, open-ended statements, so we do go through those. We break those down by session and share those with the presenters. Sometimes it's an outside presenter, and we'll share the data with them, or internally as well. And hopefully we can address some of these lower numbers here. Even if it's just a few people, we want to see if there's something that we can do to improve things. So Diane and I, review that, and we talk about it with the different department chairs, the different presenters. So again, it was just a way, I think it's important for this group to understand what we're doing and where we're taking it, and a lot of it does have to do with curriculum and strengthening our instruction and our practice. So I think it's good to see that kind of data coming back. Good. Any questions?
I have one. The percentages that are on the low end, is it because they have a different they're in a different area than the others that have said this was a great session, that the speaker was relevant?
Here you mean?
Yes. Yeah. Like that percentage, and 1 and 2, basically.
It could have been, they did, we do provide choice for people.
Mm-hmm.
Could that have been somebody who thought something was going to be one thing and then it turned out to be another? That, sometimes we see that comment like, oh, I was hoping it would be this, but it turned out to be that.
Another possibility we also took these results and shared it with like HMH, who's
Yeah,
presenting
right.
the inter-reading. And they do their own survey, and it was pretty equal. Theirs was even a little bit higher, but I know from the August PD, we tried to really customize what people were saying they needed, but because of that in between,
Right.
then some of the people may have received portions of it
Yeah.
as they came to the November.
So it's kind of like a repeat of, yeah.
Yeah, so they may not have been as positive about it as
Yeah.
someone who was hearing it for the
Okay,
first time.
that makes sense. All right, just want to clarify those numbers.
And another thing I'll point out too, we got about, I think that says 304.
Yeah.
That's exactly 50% of our staff. Now again, in former districts, you know, if you're lucky to get 20, 25%. So we sent it out a couple times. I even wanted to send it out another time, but I was told to back off. So.
That was me.
So I
I was
think-
like,
See, I
they're
was-
gonna do it or they're not. Like, if
Yeah.
it's important to them, do it.
But 50% response rate, I think is great.
That is, yeah,
I
it
think
really
it's
is
great. It gives you a good idea of,
Yeah.
and as you can see, it's spread out throughout the district.
Yeah.
Very good, yeah. Thank you,
You're welcome.
thank you. Then nobody has any questions, right? Okay, and we'll move down to B, Stratford K-6 Literary Coherence Map.
Yeah, I just thought, this was created by one of our principals, Harold Bryce, and it was so well done. We thought we'd share it with, you know, all the other principals. It was very helpful for, I think, for teachers to see what they're receiving, because we received so much support with our new literacy program. Not just with the program itself, but we brought in someone from the state, Hilfer Literacy, who's working with us to kind of put the knowledge behind some of the new theories around literacy. And it was becoming, we didn't want it to confuse teachers. You had HMH, who's, you know, we purchased into reading through. We have literacy, Hilfer Literacy, who's helping to build our knowledge. And so some of them were using the same terminology, like modules is used for units in Interreading, whereas Literacy for Hill uses modules as their learning modules that we're going online to learn. So he put this together in a way to kind of support the staff to compartmentalize the different supports, and it has made a world of difference to understand it, and I thought it was good to present here so you're aware of just what teachers are getting with the new literacy program. And I would say after we do a couple of the data team meetings with Literacy for Hill, I'll have some data to actually bring and show to see how our students are doing. So we have 3 different buckets. The curriculum, we're using Interreading, which is, we purchased through HMH. We have professional development days. August was not as strong as November, but we worked with them based on the feedback we received, and they improved even before the November one. We had a in-between session at our data collaboration day, which you can see under October, on our early release days, and they improved tremendously from them. And even from that moment to the November, we keep, tweaking to make it best for what the teachers are saying that they need. So we have a lot of professional development coming through the curriculum. Some of the things that we're hearing is that it's a lot. They're offering a lot in the curriculum, and so it's going to take some time for each teacher to go through all the components, because they're writing a curriculum for many different states, many different districts. It's up to our district to see just what fits Stratford, and the extras you don't have to do, but until we know what fits and what we need, I think teachers are feeling they have to do a lot more than they will once we, so I think we'll have a good handle on it, especially after this year, but even mid-year working with the soft launch teachers, we'll be able to wean out some of it, but they're really open to the feedback. In addition to the new program, we thought it was really important to keep the learning going so that we're not teaching to a program, but we're teaching best pedagogy of how to teach literacy. So Hilfer Literacy is giving modules where teachers are using either data collaboration time or grade level times. Some principals have given up their faculty meetings so that teachers can log on and learn through the modules. It's about an 90-minute module.
Questions?
Bless you. And then they come to us and they are working with us on those modules, helping us to synthesize what does it mean, and then coaching us on how to implement those strategies using Interreading. So it's a really nice wraparound, because one of the things I was afraid of that we were going to teach to the program and not to the good
Have a
philosophy
support
behind
for it, right?
and a lot of support for it. So we have 5 days where coaches come into every single building, working with every single grade level, supporting them on what they're learning for the modules. We're doing 5 modules this year, 5 modules next year, all around the science of reading. And then in addition to that, there's like a district leadership team that they're meeting with us. That's where they're getting some feedback. And part of Hill for Literacy is also doing our data teams. They're coming in 5 times a year. So typically the September, January, and end of year, June, and then 2 progress monitoring times in between. And it's really been helping us to solidify how to do a proper data team, you know, what do we have to do in the curriculum to help support the students with things that are missing. So like I said, after we've had several of them, I'll have some data to actually bring back and show. But I thought it was a nice map he did of how we're strengthening Tier 1 and then how we're strengthening the different tiers for students who need extra support and the different companies that are helping with that. So hopefully in the end, we're going to have some really strong readers and writers, K6.
Does anybody have any questions? And based on this, are the faculty feeling that it's encouraging to the students, that they're seeing it as a style that is good for them to, you know, enhance what the reading that we're trying to...
It's been very positive from what I heard. Some of the struggles that some teachers that I heard, some of you might have heard more that you can share out, but that it is a lot, so they're trying to figure out how to wean what they don't need. We've been embedding in them the importance of student talk and student voice, and that's very important. This Interreading, especially during the structured literacy portions, like the basic foundation skills, it's supposed to be just the opposite, where you are explicitly teaching these. So it's a mind shift for some teachers for that portion, and it's also something we want to monitor, that we're having a nice balance. We're not going to go too much one of the other ways.
Right.
So those are some of the things that are struggles, because, you know, we've embedded that in them for years, and so it's a little mind shift. There's a little bit more whole group presenting than we're used to, a lot more time in small group. We still have small group time, sufficient time, but again, it's a matter of, you know, here's the program and we have 120 minutes and
You've
how to
only had
fit
this
it all.
program, Interreading, for a little over a year, that you started last September, not this one past, one before, which was a lot to begin with, because now you had a whole shift.
That was just some teachers, not all of us. They just, everyone started
Only
just
eight.
this September. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, even the soft launch was, you know, that's a lot to take in, and then to take what you have already and try to, what you say, meld it around and support it. And the teachers are positive about this, and I think we're
Yeah, I think
heading
one of
in
the
good
things they
direction.
like is that what we had in the past didn't have all the components, and so we were using other products. So you would have to literally switch teacher's guide, switch thinking, switch a lot, and this is kind of everything in one package. So it is again easier for the teachers, from what I've heard, to make sure all the components are being taught.
That's excellent. I mean, that's, the whole purpose is to make sure that the teachers feel comfortable using this kind of information and data and getting it to the students so that they constantly improve.
And I have to say, the soft launch teachers have been a tremendous help. Every building has one, so they've been kind of the backbone answering questions. Another thing that Interreading gives us are Coachly licenses, so every grade level in every school has one lead teacher that they can literally email in a second and get a response. If they have a question, they can form a group of them to meet with the coach on a virtual session. So they really are offering a lot of support, which I think is why teachers are feeling supported, even though it's
For the children.
overwhelming, they're feeling the support is there.
Good. Good, excellent. Thank you very much. All right, is there any, as I said, no other questions or anything?
You mentioned that the modules will continue next year. Does the coaching and the data teams also continue next year?
Yeah, it's part of the package.
Anybody else? Okay, then we'll move on to CTE overview for Sam Rosen.
Quicker.
Do you want it? Why not, then?
Here's mine.
Where'd it go?
I got fast means.
Over there, and you're up there.
I think it might have shut up.
If you go back into,
Go to the waffle.
Drive?
no, just go to slides. I see it. See it? It's like 7 down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm really excited about this because this is just an opportunity for us to kind of understand what CT is all about. So this is pretty much a very high-level overview of the department and the pathways within the CT area. So, but first, I'm gonna just kind of reintroduce myself. So I feel like some of us, like you know me, but you don't know me. And my point for doing this is that I really want just to highlight kind of the profound impact that CT pathways have on our kids. I'm using myself as somebody who is, this is a second career for me. So I was a financial services manager. I gave People's United Bank 13 years. So I did have to learn some financial skills straight out of high school. And I'm a very proud SBS Teacher of the Year. So, and now currently an administrator. I'm also an immigrant and a first-generation college graduate. So I completely understand some of our students and what the barriers that they have to go through. And I feel like the Pathways gives them an alternative choice, whether they choose to go to college or take a different route, a work-based certification. These are options for them. And I think that, Stratford has done a really good job offering some of these options in the past years. COVID kind of pulled us back a little with things that we couldn't offer now, but we would like to kind of build it back, so to speak. I am the daughter of a manufacturing machinist operator as well as an aerospace assembly line worker. So, I really think those gave my parents an opportunity to basically assimilate into America and also provided the income and skill sets to do so. And right now I do have two brothers. One is a Sony, I don't know his official title, but those guys on the sidelines that have those huge cameras? He fixes those cameras and they call him. So he is not a college graduate. He just left with a high school diploma, actually his GED, and then he ended up in Sony. And then I have another one who actually worked in the restaurant industry but has now decided to become a radiologist as well. And I'm a mom to 3 daughters, one who is currently a finance and marketing rep for the state of New York or the city of New York. And the other 2 are in college. One is definitely adamant that she will be an attorney working for ACLU, so she likes to not get paid as an attorney apparently. And then I have the last one who may become an educator. We're still working on that, but she is going for business marketing and management. And so again, I say this because we down here at the K-12 level really do a pretty good job in trying to build those skill sets and then preparing our kids, but we need to do more, basically. This is the mission of the department. This is, the teachers and I kind of got together, like exactly what is our focus, what is our priority. So I'll just let you guys read that. But overall, it's really about empowering our kids to be informed, take up those opportunities, giving them access, and providing them more so that they have, personal and professional growth. So this data is straight from the U.S. Labor Statistics as well as Connecticut Labor Department of Labor. This shows that Connecticut, by the year 2031, these are the industries and sectors that will be growing and how fast they're growing as well too. If I showed you this a few years back, you would not have seen solar photovoltaic installer. Simply put, those are the guys that are putting your solar panels on your house. And then these will add on and change for a bit, but these are the really, based on the U.S. Labor Department, these are the areas and fields that are really growing and are necessary for the future. Then we go down to Stratford. And currently, these are the top 5 areas that Stratford is growing in. Number one, in healthcare and assistance, 18 to 20%. And the reason being is because there's a high demand due to our aging population. And the community is growing in health needs as well too. Then we have professional, scientific, technical services. Those are your ITs, your cybersecurity, data analytics, and so forth. And it supports Stratford's, the area within the region, techs, and the manufacturing sections that we have here in town as well too. And the manufacturing, specifically aerospace and advanced manufacturing. And this is, not just, again, back to my parents, it's not just that assembly line worker, it's beyond that. Those high-skilled jobs within, for example, we have Sikorsky right in our backyard. So that would be, fits nicely in with the advanced manufacturing lead as well too. Educational services, I think everybody in this room knows there's a teacher shortage and just a shortage in all the areas within education. But it does call for the fact that we do have to prioritize in building that area, increase the infrastructure and so forth as well too. And then lastly, construction. I see Mr. Henry over there, so he's very well connected over here and understands that, minor growth, but still there's a lot of development. And my buddy Mary Dean, is our economic developer, and I, we sat down and kind of looked at this, and she said, yeah, we're showing a lot of growth. So it's a high demand area as well. So that being said, I just highlighted the top 5 growth areas. This shows a comparative as to what our career pathways are within Stratford Public Schools. The one to the left, so the state has what's called 12 clusters. They put these fields and careers under. And we satisfy 11 of those 12 clusters currently. So we have some courses that are either fully geared to that particular cluster or pathway, or we have 1 or 2 that still we can kind of build on. So, for example, one of the clusters here is architecture and construction. We don't specifically have an architectural path, but we do have 2 courses that fall within that cluster outline. So, as a matter of fact, I was just in a class yesterday and we were building blueprints to a particular department. So I'm excited to see once they do a 3D outline, I can bring a sample for you. So to throw a little wrench in it, the National Advanced CTE, which is the National Association that the states all refer to, they have dropped new frameworks for us. So like anything else, just like the standards in the ELA math, the state of Connecticut needs to basically look at it, revise it, see which ones we'll adopt and so forth. We typically fall in line with the national standards anyways, the national framework, but we're right now waiting to see what the State Department will do with regards to outlining and adoption. So what they've changed here, if you'll notice, is there's 14 now. And what they are arguing and trying to justify is that STEM should be sprinkled into all of this. It shouldn't just be an isolated pathway at all. Because STEM skills that you use could apply to everything and anything. So that's really a good rationale as well too. They've added digital technology versus information technology because this seems a little more, what we have now seems a little more just too narrow. So they renamed it as digital technology and added all other areas that could fall under that as well. So I'll give you an example. One of the courses that our grant doesn't recognize is video gaming. And that's huge. That's like really engaging for kids. So this is a positive in that we can put it under digital technology now, and that can be recognized by the national grant people, basically. So
And
this
actually, doesn't Sacred Heart, when they started out with the gaming certification,
Yep,
and then made it into a master's program.
exactly. So
Yes.
there's some push and tug and pull. It's like, are you considering this or are you not? But our kids love that. That way.
The slot machines and everything.
Exactly.
And IBM makes the chips for
Yeah.
all the slot machines that are out there. So, you know, it does integrate with other areas.
Absolutely. The minor change, hospitality and tourism right now, they added in hospitality events and tourism, because that feels way more expansive than we think it is. So it's a really positive change. You know, on the downside is we're going to take a couple years at least to wait for the state to publish, you know, their recommendations, and then we have to prepare for the work behind it to change our language, you know, just our whole programming, basically. So just to kind of give you that background. As of right now, and I know Mr. Kennedy was on this committee last, you know, we want to basically offer our kids some really comprehensive courses here, and have it be aligned to save our kids some money if they do decide to go into college, but also provide them like rigor, right? Courses that are going to be really rigorous. So this is just within CT itself. We have partnerships with SCSU, UConn. So here is our pre-nursing. You can see a lot of our courses in pre-nursing are connected to the universities. And then we do have the educational pathway. We have If You Love It, Teach It. That was new through UConn a couple of years ago. And this prioritizes a lot of special education built in, so we wanted that partnership. And the state does really encourage that we keep our partnerships with our state colleges, because there's a subset of students that will just need to utilize the state college. They may not go beyond, you know, the 2-year program at all. So we have, as a current principles of financial accounting, which is called accounting here. And then we also have courses that we encourage kids to take, which are AP courses. Again, same concept. You know, we'll provide them a rigorous program, and we'll also hopefully save them some money. And it gives our kids a competitive edge when they are applying to colleges too. So we strongly encourage that they take either a dual enrollment course or an AP course aligned to that program. And we're going to continue to build on. For example, macroeconomics, we just, last year, I know the board approved that we can pilot it as a half-year course. And then once we talked to the kids and we talked to the instructors, they were like, this needs to be a whole year course. So this year, it became a whole year course instead. So, any questions? I don't know if Mr. Kennedy was there for one. We were trying to outline and kind of see which ones. And so the state always has competing interests. They gave us a dual enrollment grant, and we used some of that money to kind of see what areas we can, again, partner up with the colleges too. So everything falls back to accountability, right? And a lot of times, you know, ELA math kind of trumps, you know, the pressure. But we do have accountability, you know, in our area. Indicators 5 and 6. 5, simply put, is basically kids taking 2 CTE courses in one of the clusters. So it counts towards our report card, so to speak, right? And then 6 is looking at, you know, the assessment of that. So how well are we doing in SAT, ACT, or AP, basically. So here is a comparative of 5 and 6, speaking to just CTE. Here's the state side on the left-hand side. And I'm sorry if it's a little blurry. So the state target, for example, last year, the state had 91.5% kids enrolled in the 2 or more of those courses. We have 98.1. So we're above the state. We do a really good job of encouraging them to make sure that they sign up for it. And the only way it counts into the accountability factor is that they stay with it for at least 2 years. So you're looking at 11th and 12th graders right here that have stuck to it, basically. You know. Down here is the assessment piece. So the 2 that we have right now is the AP macro and the principles of computer science. And this is the percentage of whether or not they pass. And it's a really hard test, you know? So what could we do better in? We could do better in getting the kids to participate in the assessment, and then helping them and supporting them to pass it, or reaching the benchmark, basically, a 3 or higher. Some more highlights, just to kind of also back up a little bit, you know, I oversaw this department really fully only 2 years ago. We had, some of you might know Diana Cristiano. She was here for a long time. She pretty much built it from the ground up, so to speak. And then she took her retirement, which is well-deserved, in 2019, and then we did hire her replacement, but then we had some budget constraints, and so there wasn't somebody to supervise the area. And then I know Dr. Gaeta took it on and tried to sustain and maintain things. And then it was, I absorbed it under, and it fit nicely because I was at the time the STEM coordinator, so STEM and CTE are really a good pair, you know. And so for the last couple of years, these are some of the things that have happened. In Worcester, they were recognized last year for being a distinguished school. This is a rigorous application process. And the reason why Flood is not on here, the teacher was very new to PLT level. So going through the application process, it wouldn't have made through round 1 or 2 anyways. But congratulations to Worcester. We're going to continue that. I'm excited about this. We, you know, just as a district, are focusing on culturally responsive practices. And our culinary pathway was able to at least research and find resources that were appropriate. So they have a CKBK cookbook, which is really used internationally as well too. And within that, kids can pretty much select menus, there's lessons that are culturally appropriate. You know, so if I'm from a particular background or country, and there's a particular skill set that's being learned in culinary, I can actually access it and see if, you know, this is something we do in my country. So it's really exciting, and it's even more exciting when, I don't know if you know Mr. Newmeyer, he's our culinary teacher at Bunnell. He actually got recognized within their publication. And so actually, our kids are highlighted from here. This is us right here. So they came and kind of did an analysis of you know, how they were using the resource and so forth. So just a lot of positive coming out of this. So I'm really excited about that. What we do consistently is we offer CTSOs. CTSOs are an integral part of career and technical education. And these are the, I don't want to say clubs, but it's an extension of learning, right? And they have criterias that are attached to it. So we have Future Business Leaders of America, DECA, HOSA is the health occupations. This is not recognized by at least the grant side, but our tech teachers, they've definitely been consistent with offering this to our kids after school and so on. So this is National Tech Honor Society, basically. Last year, we finally launched Bulldog Business. So if you went to the showcase, I know they'll try to convince you to, it's an entrepreneur cart. They'll try to convince you to buy something off of their store, basically. Go Baby Go is really exciting. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with, oh, you were there. Yeah, Lisa was there. So Go Baby Go is a program where we take those play school little buggies, and our kids in the tech manufacturing, they pimp it up, they soup it up, because then they donate it to our 3 and 4-year-old special needs that basically are able to, you know, just push themselves along, and they're not mobile, basically. But they can press a button, and that button will allow the car to maneuver. So it's really exciting. I have a video, and Lou was there that taped it that night. So we finally launched it. We were looking to do this session in December, but we're actually trying to get more cars from play schools. So hopefully in the spring we'll have another launch as well. It's a really awesome night, and I was really teary-eyed because, you know, from start to finish, and we reach out to other communities, special needs, and they're fantastic, basically. So And then we officially opened the Victoria School Learning Lab. There's a section, a wing at Stratford High School that has the classroom for the educational pathway, but we also have a lab which is set up just like a preschool room. So if you go there, you'll see, what you would expect to see in our preschool classes. And so the students are able to at least, learn the skills and concepts and then apply them with actual students in the room. So right now we have about 5 kiddos who are within that learning lab. They're only there for 3 days a week, so the high school students get a chance to kind of develop lessons and then apply it with actual students, humans. The other thing I'm really proud of is our CMA is probably the most successful of our pathways. We have an 85% pass rate on our CMA exam, and the only reason why we have an 85% is the way, so majority of our kids take the exam, but because we take it towards the end of the year, they don't always come back to us. We are a testing site, so if all of us were signed up to take the test, and a couple of us didn't pass the written and the skills, we'd have to wait a certain amount of time before we can register again to retake it, and by the time that happens, our seniors are gone and they have to take it at a different Prometrics location. So I never get the data after they've left us, so I only have what's in front of me while they're here. But it's hard. The test is hard. You have to get an 85 actually to pass both written and skills-based. But this is something we've been hanging our hat on and trying to increase as well too. In AP Computer Science, we've twice now been acknowledged for increasing female diversity within our classes. Some pathways just don't attract. We're trying to work our gender equity, right? So, example, our CNA program, we mostly have females that go in there. But actually, for the past 2 years, we've had at least 3 males in both high schools that have been interested and registered for the program. So we're excited about that. But specifically to computer science, we've been acknowledged by College Board 2 years in a row that we've increased our enrollment, and a lot of girls are going into that field, basically. So that's exciting. And then same thing here in our finance area. We do have a group of kids that have taken us to the top 3 placement. 2 years ago, we were number 1. We dropped down to number 2 last year. It's okay. But they go to this challenge, which is hosted at Bridgeport U, and they compete with about 27 other districts. And I'm proud to say we take top 3 at least each year. So we do have some challenges. The first one is really kind of a good problem to have. I don't remember it last year when Arlene showed you some of the data of enrollment. We have kids waiting to get into certain areas. So it's a good problem to have, right? But we got to solve it somehow, because we don't want them to just wait or go into a path that they're not interested in as well. The other challenge we have is our outdated equipment and facilities. We're trying to replace a lot of the computers within Bunnell and Stratford High. Especially in our engineering classes, we use Macs, and they're about 7 years old. That would be like 50 years old in Apple years, right? So we're trying to update that. The huge one is facilities. Stratford High is a brand new high school. It's built specifics. Those classrooms are built specifically for those pathways. And Bunnell makes it work, though. But I think, Mike took a tour, so he kind of understands the infrastructure. We do need to upgrade our facilities for Bunnell. Sure, Dr. Graff, you walked in right in time.
That was the perfect timing.
The other challenge we've been going through, and again, a lot of this is from COVID as well too. We do have limited staff, and we have a couple staff members, especially in our business area, that are DSAP'd because they don't have the right certifications. You do have to get a specific certification to teach within. It's a career and occupational based on the state of Connecticut. The other layer for especially the health pathway is not only do you have to get the educational certification, but you also have to be an LPN or an RN experience for the state to say, okay, you can teach in this pathway. So we have to follow CSD guidelines as well as DPH guidelines. So that poses a bit of a problem when you're trying to get staff to, apply. And we do have some budgetary constraints, as you're all well aware. Access and equity, we're always working to reach our underrepresented populations. Again, going back to enrollment, if we don't have the classes, then how are we going to give access to them, right? So, and this is ever evolving. You know, you're going to have, as you saw the data before, the industry's changed. You know, Apple changes their brands all the time, so this is what we need to kind of continue to evolve with, especially since our workforce needs are changing as well too. So here's the wish list to continue our success and to kind of build back what we had before and then satisfy our current needs and future needs. We are looking at possible new pathway. As you saw, the aerospace was one of those. And then, you know, we have a huge population of military in Stratford. And I've had some really informal focus groups that basically have said, why do you not have ROTC here? So that's something we want to consider, is adding on the aerospace ROTC pathway as well too. We did a small focus group with our graduates a couple years ago, and basically saying, if we offered this, would you guys have, you know, taken it up? And they were like, yeah, well, you know, totally. So, and we visited some areas. We visited Danbury, who has a long-standing aerospace and ROTC. Bethel has a really great one as well too. And these are some things for us to kind of consider. You know, you can go from the Navy to the Army. I think it's appropriate, again, having Sikorsky in our backyard to go in the aerospace direction. I don't know if Dr. Piazza, I know you guys added this in front, similar
Navy.
to Navy. Yeah. Which is appropriate because they're, you know, right in that area. So that's a further discussion. We want to continue to enhance our integration again, trying to provide more dual enrollment options for our kids, and industry certifications. There's certain pathways that, for example, I know Mr. Neumeier and Mr. Monsanto are looking to see what certifications we can provide within culinary. Safe Pro is one of them, but that would be that we have to change some of our curriculum as well. So they're kind of working on that right now. And then one of the big emphasis right now that the state recommends is offering this, or at least knowledge building down to the middle schools. So what we have currently is a career development course, which ninth graders take. The state is basically saying, why don't you just push that down to 8th grade so that the kids are aware and ready so that by the time they reach 9th grade, they have kind of an idea of what they want to go into already. So that's something we want to look into to expand as well. Technology, like I said before, you know, we want to upgrade and modernize our facilities and tools, specifically with VHS, and then upgrading our computers, both for high school and middle school. We have some outdated computers as well too in the middle school areas, so we'd like to upgrade that. Staff development becomes ongoing, especially now that we're faced with the new frameworks. So we're going to need to look, after the adoption, we're going to need to look at the revision of all of our curriculum, basically, to fall in line with that. And then a few years back, we did have a career center counselor, which doesn't exist anymore. And I really encourage and really highly recommend that we have somebody to help with this work. Because our kids take the courses, but then there's nobody there to kind of connect us, right? Guidance does a great job with trying to connect the post-secondary schools and so forth. But somebody isn't here to kind of say, oh, you know what? Sikorsky is hiring, why don't you do this? And then in a couple of years, you'll be able to get, and their entry-level position right now is $80,000. That's pretty good for somebody who's straight out of high school. So, but right now, this student support area really falls on me, and I'd like to at least give more to our kids and be able to connect, all the industry right away and not just wait until after the fact. Because again, like once they leave us, I have no way to really reach them anymore. Just like our CNA, once they leave, they can't retake it. Actually, 2 of them came back and said, can we take the test again when you guys have it? I think one of the Manila girls came last week and was like, oh, I want to retake it. So I'm like, okay, we'll look into that. So that's our wish list. Terry, I don't know if you have a question?
No, I was just thinking on that wish list, when you have your counselors and stuff, most high schools usually have college fairs where, you know, get the information and everything else. Have you thought maybe having the community businesses like Sikorsky, Bridgeport Hospital, or anything like that, to maybe come in during one of those, you know, after school night thing and just say, you know, these are the things we have out there that are available, you know, your courses are gonna.
Yeah, we do. We have, so besides the showcase that's usually in the spring, we do have a career fair. So for the past couple of years, we've had business come in and hire some of our kids on the spot. Actually, Stratford Rec is infamous. They always hire our kids by March. They'll call me and say, we're gonna need however many. They come and actually do the interviews on the spot, so we let the kids know in advance, like, you gotta do your resume, we're gonna help you out. But we've had a career fair.
Right, that they can lead into.
But I think, Terry, what Sam's like trying to, like, emphasize, like I know in my school that I teach at, we have a college and career counseling center, and that person's sole job, like our guidance counselors, they help with like the scheduling and the course selection in colleges. But this person, she brings in the college people, but she helps the kids learn how to do a resume. She helps with like applying for jobs. She helps with bringing in local businesses to help apply for jobs. That's what we need, is somebody that can help the kids get those and learn how to build a resume, learn what opportunities are out there. Like if Sikorsky has that, like they're like the go-between, because the counselors are handling counseling needs and scheduling needs and course selection. So the college and career counseling person kind of helps manage all of those kinds of things.
Like it would do it at college.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
when freshmen
And that's
come
what
in
we
and they
need.
want to know
Yep,
where I'm going to go, what's required, how do I do.
exactly.
Yes,
But we need to bring those services that are offered at the college level down to the.
but we're also talking about a budget
Yeah.
situation. And to hire somebody to, you know, for both high schools or even the middle schools, to do that at this point in time. So that's why I'm thinking maybe if the business community, if you have these, you might approach somebody and say, you know, would you like to volunteer? That, you know, once a month you come in and just kind of explain or show our kids how this would move forward. Something like that.
Absolutely. And again, we do have, you know, we have Sikorsky Credit Union that comes in and helps us and so forth. But it's great to have a point person, right?
Yes.
A consistent point person. And so we'd like to have that person back. And like I said, a couple years ago, 4 years ago, we had that position. And it was really helpful because that person also kept track of after graduation stuff too. So.
With all due respect, I don't know if continuing to kind of outsource these social obligations that a school kind of has to its students is really in the best interest of our community. I mean, a private industry may want to step in, and you know, private business may want to step in and encourage kids to pursue those careers and goals, but like you just said, having someone there who has all the data, all the information that otherwise would be confidential to any outside, you know, company. It's not the same. I mean, having the outside companies come in and talk with students or advertise is a benefit, you know, depending on who the company is and what they're doing. But in the end, there's a certain obligation that needs to be kind of fulfilled, and I can see that perspective. I understand the budgetary part of it, but at a certain point, things cost money, and what is important and what do we want to spend money on.
Might I add also that
Yeah.
it also kind of makes us as a town more marketable if we have these high schools that offer these types of services, right? You know, that could be the difference between someone choosing to buy a house in Stratford or Shelton. You know what I mean? If they know that their students have this opportunity and they're going to leave Stratford Public Schools with these tools in their tool belts, you know, it may make that you know, the determining factor in how we keep our residents as well.
Advertise a piece of data in 5 years that says the success rate of students who graduate from Stratford Public Schools in terms of, you know, their, when you use a data general salary or whatever the case is, you advertise that piece of data, and yeah, it makes us more marketable, it makes people want to come here, have their kids come here, but it requires investment.
Which brings me to our planning and capacity building here. Obviously, the big ticket item is always budget, right? So, but these are some of our proposals. We do one is some infrastructure improvements, with that help possible support there. Recruitment plan for staff and students, speaking to that position specifically, as well as, recruiting staff that would fit the criteria for our pathways. Marketing strategy, we had an opportunity with our dual enrollment grant to hire a marketing specialist who's able to put together our packaging, and that took us months. I think Dr. Piazza is still working on that.
Some of these people.
So those are, that's kind of the workload that a specialist and their expertise would bring for us as well. Majority of our pathways run on Perkins supplemental. And Perkins is a 1920s grant, so there's some things that they will cover and others they're like, The state is saying that they're, because of the new frameworks, that they're kind of, hopefully influencing the national level to redo the Perkins grant. So, and then we look for other additional grants. And then Mr. Henrik provided us with an HBI grant, so we have that now to help us with solely looking at our manufacturing curriculum at the moment and seeing how we can get a certification through our manufacturing pathway at the moment. So we do look for other things. But we really, would like support from the board as far as in ensuring that there's monies there, that if these grants are not available to us, that we still can sustain and also enhance our programming as well too. And just for stakeholder engagement, as we're trying to build new pathways or expand, we do just need support. And Terry, thank you for the feedback. Just so that we know. What's the pulse out there? What do you need? We do meet at least twice a year. Each pathway has what's called an advisory committee. And those are people from specific industries that will meet at the beginning and just let them know how it's going. They'll give us information on what's happening out there and how they can support us. And that's been really helpful, right? It's just for me to just put this all together as well too. And we do ask them for some sponsorships and seeing what's available as far as apprenticeships that our kids can get into. We had a really robust mentorship and apprenticeship program, I want to say about 7 years ago when Diana was here, and that's something we want to bring back. And that's going to require that, again, going back to that particular position and also partnering up with some more local businesses and areas.
What's the money value on some of these grants? I mean, are you talking 50,000,
Yeah.
100,000?
That's a good question, Terry. So I'll give you an example of Perkins, right? When I looked at the grant, they gave us $122,000. Some of these equipments are expensive. That eats up a chunk of that. Each year, they've cut 5,000. So this year, we're down to like 115,000. So, and they keep cutting, and the reason for that, and I voiced my opinion at one of the state meetings, and they said that right now, again, we've been really progressive in building. What they're trying to do is now go to districts that don't even have pathways, and they're putting their monies there to help, again, they're thinking more, statewide, globally, and so forth. So our support gets lessened. There's increases, which is why we kind of need the board support in general.
For how many years has it been decreasing like that?
Each year, it's about 3,000 to 5,000. Just keeps going.
But when did that, there had to have been an origin point on that decrease?
I can only speak
trend.
from 2019.
Oh, okay, but, so at least the last 5 years, we've seen that decrease as those resources are distributed to other
Yeah.
towns.
Yeah, because it's national monies that
Yeah.
gets trickled to the state, and the state then decides, well, what are our priorities this
Okay.
week? We see Stratford's doing well. They have some foundations set in place. It's, redirected to Thompson, who just built out their pathway. I had a conversation with them. So, but that's just, we could influence on the legislative side, but I'm not sure how much that's gonna help. Mike?
So, I mean, one of your local businesses and industry for sponsorship and apprenticeship, so we as a community are gonna reach out to, I mean, we've got some heavy hitters in the construction industry and the technology, and the, you know, Sikorsky and some other. If we're gonna go out to them and say, hey, give us some money. And their first question is gonna be, for what? Until we develop the plan or the curriculum, you can't ask, you know, just give us some money and we'll figure it out after we get the money. No. If we develop the plan first, then we figure out how to fund it. And until we have, and that's our conversation, which we initially had, is until we have a plan, we can't really put it into action or the pieces or the funding or any of it. We can piecemeal it, we can, you know, find a person who will help with career placement, but there are people who will, I know, who I've spoken to personally, who will put grants, personal grants or business grants up to support some of these industries, but the question first is, well, what do you want money for?
Yeah.
So, you know, if we're gonna expand our CT, maybe one of the first things is to put out a survey to the students. What kind of programs would you be interested in beyond what we offer? Or how can we improve the programs that we do? And then once we get that information, then, you know, we can formulate a curriculum or a direction. You know, this is a great first step, but it is figuring out where we want to go, so then we can figure out how do we get there.
Right, because we do have a career pathway already in place in Stratford. Basically, it's hospitality, the culinary arts, and CNA. And, you know, if we want to move with the times and the way the trends are going, especially like with AI and everything else, you know, that's, Mike's right, we have to have a basic plan, but we need to know, will the students be interested in those if they don't want to enroll? And it has to be tried, if we can, expand it out as much as we can. You know, let's not limit it to 10 kids. But again, we have to have the teacher, the staff to be certified.
And right now, again, we have high enrollment, and we have high interest. We have kids waiting to go into certain areas. So we need to build that capacity in pathways that we have existing right now. But we also face an infrastructure issue as well. So there's certain, and now I'll go back to the CNA program. It is only suggested that even though contractually we can go up to 24 kids in the room, it's recommended that you have only 20, especially for Bunnell, where it's a smaller setting, because the lab work and skills room, you just can't fit that many people in. So that's why I go back to, we have to do something to improve our infrastructure.
Sorry to interrupt again.
And Mike, you toured that facilities.
But again, with those infrastructure improvements, when we annually put together a capital improvement plan, which increases a large number of dollars from the town through bonding, but when we put the capital improvement plan together, again, the question is, give us some money to improve our structure, but what do you want to do? Until we have that plan.
They want to expand the programs, they have the interest, they have, like to Sam's point, she's saying like the Bunnell CNA program, they will only allow, because of the size of the space, 20 kids.
Yeah.
But you have, for instance, I know over 40 kids who are in the class that leads up to that, who can't all get in because there's only 20 spots, because we only have space for 20. So it's not even a matter of like redeveloping or creating more things, it's just expanding what we have.
We had to turn away 350 students from our culinary program last year.
I know my daughter, I have a senior, and a sophomore, and my senior, who has tried to get into the intro to culinary class since she was in 8th grade going into Bunnell, is finally getting to take it the second semester of her senior year.
So
Because there's no way to offer enough sections of it or enough space to take these courses that we even have.
We actually have teachers who were rotating, only teaching courses every other year, like every odd year, because they physically cannot teach all the courses that they are certified to offer within one calendar school year.
And that's specifically, like, our education pathway has that problem. We teach every other year a certain course.
Right.
So the Love and Teach It, that special ed course,
It's every other
it's every other year, which is unfortunate.
But even when we did the tour of the Culinary Institute, Mr. Newmeyer
Yeah.
had some suggestions how to expand it.
Yes.
And I said, we'll put a plan together so we can incorporate it into the capital improvement plan, so we can maybe make some additional space. But until we have a plan, until we fully assess our needs and figure out what we need, then we can figure out how to do it, and then we can figure out how to fund it. And capital improvement plan comes out every year. It's about $4 million that the town gives us to facility improvements.
How many years does it come out?
It comes out, I think the town votes on it around May. So, I mean, there's time, but you know, the culinary thing at Bunnell was a prime example of it. Maybe not, but maybe an easy way to expand that program.
Yep.
And some of the other programs, is it more class-based? Do we need to reallocate some of the classes we're using? I think that the auto shop is a huge area that maybe is not fully utilized. Maybe it's moving just a couple of walls, but you know, how do we do it? You know, what do we need, and then you know.
And I would say over 50% of my capital improvement plan focuses on CTE in some way, shape, or form. That hallway, those classrooms, those lab spaces. I'm not sure if it's up to Brian Neumeier himself to devise the plan for the reconfiguration of the culinary space. I think that is a district and a town issue. He can make the suggestion and we can provide the data. It's not up to him to draft the blueprint. I don't think he feels comfortable doing that. That falls back on the district and the town.
But yes, but he would be the guy who created the idea, the concept.
You do a
of-
presentation of it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes,
you
but
put
that
the-
would not go into our capital improvement plan for this coming year.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
But that's what I think we really should be looking at right now is not so much a wish list, but, you know, here's in the next, 3 years, we would like to have this, and this is what we can do to make, achieve it. And this is the cost and everything. So we can put together a strategic plan for that and then present it to the town and the Board of Ed to say that, this is something that's viable. So if we can do that now, going forward, I think we can, start working in other areas to help you get the money to implement these things besides bonding and whatever.
We could definitely do a cost analysis, like,
Yeah.
and an estimation, but we'll need to forward it to the planning committee for sure. The other piece of this is, again, more or less, bodies, like a teacher to actually teach the sections. And those are proposals that we made through our budgeting process with our COO as well too. So you'll see that on the upcoming presentation. So we have two problems, right? We have the infrastructure problem, but we also need people to actually teach our courses in some way and maneuver the scheduling. Scheduling is a whole nother animal in and of itself. But we, in the building level, can overcome that. But we do need to kind of have some assurances that we'll be able to offer a teacher in that room to teach those courses.
Do you have any teachers that would be interested in expanding their skills to do something like this? I mean, some people it's not just English or it's not just math or just science, but maybe they want to expand their interest and do something to help out in this area. Get certificate, that's what I'm saying, just to get a certificate.
Yep, so teachers do change. I'll give an example. We have teachers in the middle school right now who were once ELA teachers who decided to get a cross endorsement in tech. So that's why I have those teachers. But now you have a gap in ELA, right? I just took a teacher from ELA to put them in tech. So it's robbing Peter to pay Paul.
You're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
So you are coming Monday?
I'm coming
So
Monday.
this conversation will continue on the board level, but I think you guys here as a curriculum committee, this is where it starts in the process. We have, the existing board is going to be here for another year, myself, Lisa, Sean, and Kristen. I can't speak for Lisa, but I know Sean and myself are big supporters of this and look forward to trying to get it rolling to some extent, but we will be talking about it at the board meeting. It's a similar presentation. I think you guys should definitely continue in that vein.
Right.
So,
Thanks, Mike.
thanks for your
Thank
time.
you, Mike.
I think it wasn't the first time I am a big supporter.
Thank you.
Yeah, I support this as well, and the point that I really wanted to capitalize on here is, whoever you have to convince to spend money on this, right? Whoever it is, there's been like 4 or 5 different potential targets of where the money is going. Whoever it is, take this and add the testimonials that I've heard here. That, my son or daughter wanted to get into this and they can only get into it in the last half of their senior year. Then include data such as 350 students are being denied, and that shows demand, and that shows that there is, I mean, this isn't just hope, this isn't just a wish list, oh, we hope and we wish and we think that this might work. No, there's a demand right here, there's a gap in funding to meet that demand, and do you want to take part in it, or do you not want to take part in it? I mean, there's, and that could be for whoever the target is to get the, I mean, the most convincing part to me in this entire thing was the testimonial information I just heard from, you know, two people here, and I'm willing to bet that if you just, I mean, we're talking about surveys, send a survey about to parents. Hey, how many courses has your child been interested in that they haven't been able to get? I mean, let's see that list, and what's required to meet those needs and pitch that. Sorry.
You're waiting for a while to talk.
Yeah, no, those points in particular kind of hit me.
And that's just Benel, like,
Yeah,
we don't have a.
And Stratford has the same problem. But I'll just have an added
We have
layer
the
of
infrastructure problem, and I think the timing of these conversations, you're right, are falling kind of in line with conversations that are happening regarding a potential building renovation. And so everything is kind of coinciding all at once. I think people are hesitant to commit to a plan to say renovate the A wing where all of our CT classrooms are housed if down the road we're going to be putting out for bid a renovation. So Mike has been very supportive, coming to our building, doing walkthroughs, but it all ties in together. So we have to kind of figure out this timeline there as well and have more formal conversations.
It has to go forward, and it has to formulate, it has to be something that we can say to them, this is what we have. You know, even if it doesn't happen, we really should have something that says, because you're right, Benel High School is going out for renovations, so we'll go for bonding. The capital improvements and everything have always been, every year, has been part of the monies that come from the town. And it's my lunch.
Time up.
No, it's 6 o'clock. So what I'm thinking is, you know, starting in January, this is something that we should just take it as, we're gonna move and we're gonna do this. Because we really have to make sure our students have every opportunity, all 300 and what have you. I do believe that when I was on the board, we had a really nice mobile unit, or whatever they call it now. It was for the culinary arts for Stratford High School, and it was to be moved to Benel when Stratford High School was finished, because they would already have theirs. Whatever happened to that? I have no clue.
on track, because we've been talking about that, so.
Because I was off the board, and that was one of the things I had already gotten from Trumbull, 4 of those that are now up at Eli Whitney and stuff, for them. We got it.
Portable.
Portables, yeah, portables, yeah.
Oh.
Portables.
We don't need any more portables. We need a
We have a
new
lot of
building.
If you're gonna do this, then let's do it right. Let's
Right.
have a plan
Yes.
from curriculum to say, this is how we want to design this. Don't let the architects come in and just say, oh, let's do this, let's do that. Let's make sure that they know we have a solid plan going forward that we want to try to put together. And that I think benefit our students, you know. And the monies, we'll just have to beg, borrow, and steal wherever we can. Because we have a lot of programs that have been pushed down through Hartford that they haven't paid us for many years. But they'll give us a program and say, you have to do this. It's unfunded, and they tell us we have to fund it. That money should have went to our students for other things to improve and enhance. So we're going to go forward. Let's do it in a positive, you know, slightly aggressive manner.
Assertive.
Thank you.
That was my language.
That's
We'll
the right
accelerate
word.
Yeah.
You know, because I think we can find people, you know, that will help you also financially. So we just have to know what you want.
We'll get back to you.
Not too high a number, but give us what you think is going to be appropriate for us to do this kind of thing, because I think this is perfect. I think this is what our kids really need going forward. You know?
Thanks, Judy.
And I do love the culinary arts. They really, it's a good thing.
This is just a mirage, a collage of people and kiddos, and there's the Go Baby Go I was talking to you about down there. It's adorable. And whatever pictures that we had of the staff. Some are familiar faces to you.
Where do you get those Go Baby Goes?
And those are the play school cars, and then they fix them up to allow access. So if you look at the top one over there, so the parent has kind of a safety harness, but the kids operate it with just a push of a button.
And you build
So-
it in the school?
Yep, we build
They
in,
refurbish it.
Okay.
yeah, refurbish it, and then we put in all the electrical pieces and so forth, which is the skills that we're doing now in the class. And then we donate it to our special needs population.
That is good. What does one of those cost?
Those were donated to us, but you guys have young ones. I don't remember
just
how
gonna
much
say,
they cost.
I was-
I was gonna say, most parents have one of those sitting in their garage.
Yeah.
Barbie
They
kids.
probably still have one, 20 years old.
No.
Maybe we can put something out and say, hey, you don't want to sell it, you know, and you want to donate it, we'd be willing to take it. I'll even store it for you.
And we have the culinary Stafford and Banal. This was just from our Veterans Day celebration here. And there's a picture, right in the center is the preschool learning lab at Stafford.
Thank you.
Thank you
you.
very
Thank you,
much.
Sam.
Very good presentation.
The very last thing, and I'll make it quick, I see the clock, but it was just future curriculum initiatives that Dr. Diorio and I were going to just review really quickly. And I'm happy to report, the last time I was here, I was sort of saying, how since we walked in the door, we've been really trying to get a grip on the curriculum and what we have and what we don't have. And we do have a plan, starting in January, to get people in front of this committee to present curriculum. We've identified a number of courses that were already approved by the curriculum committee to be written, but never sort of made it back here. So we're going to start with those as priorities, as well as in the discussions with the principals and the department heads, plans for future courses. Not necessarily for September 25, but for years beyond that, again, need to come before this committee to present the idea to see if this committee approves for the writing to begin. So it really it's starting to take shape, all the different departments, and it will continue to do so, but we'll have representatives here again starting in January to present some of those curriculums that need to get approved by the board.
Great, thank you.
That's secondary. And then for elementary, our main focus is ELA. We have to, with the new program and revamp our curriculum completely. We did want to give them a few months to, see the program, learn the science of reading, but that will be underway shortly, along with social studies, because there was some new standards that came down the pipe. And again, it's the interliteracy and interreading is very theme-based, so we want to see where there's overlap. It's cross-curricular as much as we can, so we have to know with our literacy curriculum in order to do the social studies. So kind of going hand in hand. And then third, that's going to take priority. The health teachers came to me very concerned that elementary is teaching very well a component that the state is requiring, but not all the requirements. So with that, we are starting there as well. It seems like that's a need to see what we need to do, whether it's bringing in a new program or creating what's missing. But again, as Bill said, we're underway.
Yeah. The good news is we have people who are
Figure out.
interested in writing, prepared to write, as soon as, the spring and into the summer, so that's good as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions or anything? Oh, great. We have no old business, so we can move on to tabled items, and we have no tabled items. And the last one is a motion to adjourn the meeting. Anybody like to make that motion? Jessica? And Arliss with the second. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much again.